The number two man in the famous Medellin cartel, José Gonzalo Rodríguez Gacha, was born in the Colombian outback, but considered himself the heir of the Aztec people. Because of his fanatical love for Mexico, colleagues nicknamed him El Mexicano, Mexican. Although it was more appropriate to call him the executioner. Experts believe that the Mexican is responsible for at least 1,000 lives. However, this did not stop him from earning $40 billion and becoming the richest man in South America. The boy's parents, who were born on May 14, 1947, in the town of Pacha, were small farmers. The father hoped that his son would inherit his business. After the third grade, José Gacha dropped out of school and started helping his parents raise pigs. But the hard work on the farm did not appeal to the boy, and he decided to find another occupation. The teenager got a job as a bus conductor, then became a waiter. It was in the cafe that José saw the cool guys and decided to become the same. To fulfill his dream, 17-year-old José Rodríguez went to the town of Muso in the Boyacá department, which was called the world capital of diamonds. Here the boy managed to get a job at the almighty Emerald King, Gilberto Molino. Molino was considered the godfather of not only the emerald industry, but several regions. However, he also had enemies, the powerful Vargas family. José did not immediately, but realized that in this game he was only a pawn, which could easily be sacrificed. After earning his first money from transporting marijuana, José realized that the future was in cocaine. In an effort to enter this business, he moved to the capital, Bogotá, where he was recruited by the cocaine queen Verónica Rivera de Vargas. Soon the young criminal started his own cocaine business. Verónica introduced him to Mexican drug lord Miguel Gallardo, and José became his business partner. While Escobar was exporting cocaine to Florida via the Caribbean Sea, Rodríguez considered Mexican transit more reliable. Another route he developed ran through Panama. On different shares with Gallardo, Rodríguez established a monthly supply of 5 tons of cocaine to the United States, which brought him about $35 million. Once in Mexico, José Gacha fell in love with this country and its culture. He even began to speak with a Mexican accent. The ranches he acquired in the Pacha region of Colombia invariably received Mexican names: Cuernavaca, Chihuahua, Sonora and Mazatlan. Having bought the football club Millonarios, Rodríguez decided that a famous Mexican song would be his anthem. Before each match, it was performed by a group of musicians from Mexico. In 1976, José Rodríguez accepted Pablo Escobar's offer and, together with Carlos Leder, George Yung and the Ochoa brothers, became one of the co-founders of the Medellin cartel. Despite being called the head of the cartel, Escobar was a partnership of cocaine barons. For before the cartel, each of the characters stood at the head of an already formed group. But together they became even stronger. In the Colombian jungle, a Mexican created an entire city where more than 2,000 workers grew coca and processed it into cocaine. Rodríguez was a great manager. He not only took care of the transit and sale of cocaine, but also conducted research to develop more productive varieties of coca. The drug lord agronomists crossed the plant varieties brought from Bolivia, Peru and Costa Rica. Enormous tracts of fertile land in the Puerto Dedan region have been planted with this potion. In 1981, Rodríguez Gacha initiated the creation of armed units that were supposed to resist the partisans. Later, this group will grow into a whole army, armed with helicopters and infantry fighting vehicles, in addition to small arms. Under pressure from the United States in 1984, the Mexican and Colombian authorities launched an attack on the drug cartel. On April 30, 1984, criminals on a motorcycle liquidated the Minister of Justice, Rodrigo Bonillo. In response, Colombian President Belisario Betancourt announced the renewal of an agreement with the United States to extradite drug traffickers. In order not to fall into the hands of law enforcement officers, Pablo Escobar, the Ochoa brothers, Carlos Pedro and José Rodríguez fled to Panama. The kings tried to get in touch with the president of Colombia to resolve the situation. To do this, at the Marriott Hotel in Panama, they met with former President Alfonso Michelson. But information about the negotiations got into the press, and the deal fell through. A few months later, the cartel's bosses returned to Colombia, but the pressure from the authorities did not ease. So, Carlos Peter was arrested and extradited to the United States, where he received 30 years in prison. In response, the cartel created a squad, extradables, operating under the motto, "We prefer the grave in Colombia to a prison in the United States." A large-scale struggle broke out between the government and the cartel. If the Ochoa brothers advocated a bloodless solution to the conflict, then Pablo Escobar and especially the Mexican decided to fight to the end. The latter bought huge tracts of land in the east of the country. On them, in addition to drug plantations, there were training grounds for armed formations. The units assembled from the peasants were trained by veterans of the British and Israeli Special Forces and soon became an impressive force. The Colombian government has long maneuvered between US demands and reluctance to get involved in a conflict with the cartel. So, 1987 passed under the sign of a truce between the government and the Medellins. Everything seemed to be back to normal. But on January 8, 1988, the president signed a warrant for the arrest and extradition of the United States of Escobar, Rodriguez, the Ochoa brothers and other bosses. Cartel. In response, on January 16, 1988, members of the cartel kidnapped the candidate for mayor of the city of Bogotá, Andrés Arango, and on January 25, they liquidated the Attorney General of Colombia, Carlos Hoyos. On June 20, 1988, Forbes magazine included José Rodriguez in the list of the 20 richest people on the planet, whose property consisted of dozens of real estate objects, farms, houses, apartments, large land plots, as well as various vehicles, herds of thoroughbred horses, precious metals, gold, emeralds. All of this was estimated at $40 billion. But at the time, the Mexican was more busy with the conflict with the government than with business. Using the latest communication equipment, he created a network of channels not controlled by the special services. According to them, orders were given to eliminate enemies. In January 1989, by order of Rodriguez, the leaders of the Patriotic Union, Teofilo Foro and Jose Antequera, were liquidated, and the Judicial Commission in La Rochelle was shot. On February 27, 1989 in Sasama, Cundinamarca, the Mexican commandos surrounded the villa of the Emerald King Gilberto Molino and eliminated him and 17 guests. The Mexican began to eliminate everyone who could be potentially dangerous. Rodriguez's executioners liquidated his patroness, the cocaine queen Veronica Rivera, then the nephew of the Emerald King, who inherited control over the mines. On December 23, 1989, a truck with 500 kilograms of CNT crashed into the building of the Anti-Drug Special Service, DAS. The target was General Moza. But he remained unharmed, but 63 people died. During 1989, 289 incidents occurred in Bogotá, Medellin, Cali, Barranquilla, Bucaramanga and Cartagena, resulting in over 250 deaths. And yet the ring is around. Drug cartel bosses shrank. The Colombian government has announced an award for the Mexican's head $250,000. In response, Rodriguez Gacha underwent plastic surgery, lost weight and had a beard. In August 1989, the 17-year-old son of a Mexican, Freddy, was arrested for illegal possession of weapons. He was held longer than required by law, believing that his father would make himself felt. But in vain. On November 22, 1989, Freddy was released, but they put him under surveillance. The guy brought the tale to his father's villa in Cartagena, where the Mexican lived surrounded by his bodyguards. Colombian special forces surrounded the villa, but the drug dealers managed to escape in speedboats. The Mexican was betrayed by a police informant who was part of the gang. On the night of December 15, 1989, 22 commandos in 2 helicopters landed on the seashore near the town of Tolu. The Mexican and his son tried to escape by car, but the police caught up with them in a helicopter. As a result, Jose and Freddy Rodriguez were eliminated. On their last journey to the cemetery in Pacho, 3,000 people accompanied them. Another 15,000 stood outside the gates, sincerely mourning the death of the drug lord, who became their idol.